This short video gives an overview of the fundamental good methods for process quality control. In process quality control, there are some practices that are very common. Some of those common processes involve first using vendor supplied data, rarely, sometimes even certificates of conformance, which are just letters that say it conforms, which don't really mean anything or provide any value whatsoever. They include inspection of incoming goods. It's often just a visual inspection. There is some in-process inspection or measurement, and then there is final inspection. These are the 4 points that we see most often when we go out to factories. We have some vendor supplied data. We have visual inspection of incoming goods. We do some in-process checks, and then we do final. When we have that normal process, it doesn't work. The quality results are invariably unsatisfactory. But these are some reasons why. First, garbage in, garbage out. You can't make good product with bad material. You must assure a supplied product is good before it is used. If it is used, then you increase your chances of passing on the defect, but you also introduce a lot of inefficiency and waste into your own production processes, which should be guarded very zealously and very carefully by you. Visual inspection doesn't work. It's really ineffective, especially with a lack of standards. We might want to have a specific component we put through a specific test. We might want to do some specific evaluations, but just gazing and looking at parts is not a very effective method. More things are damaged than are found. More false rejects are created than real rejects are detected. Quality standards must be strictly followed. So these traditional systems don't work because we just allow all the variation to occur. In spec is good and out of spec is bad. We shouldn't ever have ones that I'm not sure. We often see this in reports. Well, it's almost in spec. That's out of spec. The spec needs to be the spec, and it needs to be used and applied that way. The system of trust but verify is a very important method. Data accuracy improves if the process is observed. Quality controls should be layered. So we need to record data. We need to check supplier information. We need to have layers of quality control. So if something goes wrong, we find out. And then the reliance on final inspection that we see in so many places. Final inspection is too late. We've already made the defect. We've already put everything and all efforts and the operator time and our machine time and everything into waste. Final inspection is too late. We need to think about doing the check up front, doing it earlier in the process to find some way to prevent it from affecting our process instead of waiting to the very end to do final inspection and then have a crisis. A system that works for process quality control. Supplier quality system qualification. So we make sure suppliers have a good quality system. The supplier product is validated through PPAP or a similar method. The supplier process is measured. Suppliers provide us with actual data that we actually check and actually audit. We do an incoming quality verification, and that is based upon the DFMEA. The design FMEA will list all of the components and which ones are critical and which functions of those are critical. That's how we know what needs to be monitored and controlled from a supplier side. And we do in-process measurement. We measure where the work is done, and the data is always recorded. We do in-process verification. This is the Hawthorne effect, where observing the process changes the process. If no one ever does verification on any kind of an in-process check, the in-process check will eventually go away or become less frequent. It needs to be checked and verified to ensure that it continues. And then final verification of the vital few really, really important characteristics, not some grand overall large scope final inspection. Keys to implementing this approach, which tends to meet a lot of resistance if people don't really understand their data, is to start small. Start with small changes, things that will be easy to implement. Take those changes, make changes now, announce it later. Don't start off with announcement of a big initiative, but come and quietly make some changes and then start. Start with the suppliers. It's easier to start with suppliers and quality system requirements and working on basic improvements for your most important suppliers than it is to make a lot of other changes. Have operators collect and record data. Do it sparingly. Don't use a lot of operator time, but they're already a resource there, and there's usually time for collecting and recording that data. And then use current specific quality issues as persuasive anecdotes. The data is good, the data should be used, but often with high-level management support, it's more useful to have a good anecdote than it is to have data. Use the current quality issues as those anecdotes to help persuade your leadership team.